What is up? Welcome in, everybody. How is everyone doing this fine Monday? We are back again for episode 3 of the podcast. I am joined once again with my awesome co-host, Gibbles Destruct. What's going on, man?
Hey, how you guys doing?
Today we got a pretty good episode. So we are we're gonna be talking about the world of Savage versus casual content. We're gonna talk about are the rewards from Criterion enough? I know that a lot of streamers have been talking about this for a bit. Wraith, I see you're in here today. I'm going to let you know we are not going to spoil anything. We're not going to talk about specific content. We're just going to talk about Savage and Criterion as an option of gameplay. No story, no nothing. So you're welcome to stick in and hang out. And then should there be more slice of life type content? So more of that relaxation, kind of chill vibe type slice of life stuff. That we have enjoyed when we're not doing battle content. But first, as we always do, we are going to talk about some news. Not a lot of news in the Final Fantasy XIV realm. We are in a little bit of a lull, but we did get information on the new... that's not what I want. on the new Starlight event. This starts on Friday, which is also my birthday. So you know, that's kind of a nice little gift. And this produces a chocobo housing item that you can put in. That's just a lit up chocobo. You can see that on the left. Excuse me, on the right. And then a Santa Claus outfit. Now this Santa Claus outfit is multi-gendered, so you can have a bearded lady. So that is something that they have brought in. Full Santa outfits, including beards, are available for both male and female characters in the game. And it is received by you get the quest from the bearded lady in Gridania starting Friday morning. Cool. All right. Well, let's jump into it. This topic today is one that Gibbles and I have kind of gone round and round on before. This is not new news if you've been in one of Gibbles' stream, where he and I have been kind of bantering about what current content gives you, what hard content gives you, the difference between casual player versus savage player. This is not a new subject for us. So Gibbles, I'm gonna let you start because I think your opinion on this is probably generally what sets the stage for me being able to be like, well.
Well, so I mean, there's a few things that have to do with like current Savage gear and content right now, right? Like one thing I know I'm not alone in any of these takes. I've had conversations recently in the past couple of weeks with people who are also like, they hate that one, if you've cleared a Savage raid for the week, you hurt other people's rewards if you want to go and like help them do content, which sucks. And you have other it's supposed to prevent RMT, which I think is kind of a non-issue of not RMT being a non-issue, but people paying for clears, because I don't think it actually prevents it. You also yeah, I think Cooler crashed.
He's having difficulties.
That's why like I was stuttering for a second because I was trying to. Yeah. Let's see. Oh, he's completely gone. I can't hear him.
All right, say something. Bard, can you hear me? Oh, suck. Give me 1 second, guys. I apologize.
Something.
Can you hear me now, Bard?
I can't hear you.
I can't hear you. That's the problem.
Ooh.
And I don't know why.
It's not a good stream unless it's a scuff stream. You guys can hear him? I can't hear him. Let me unmute him on Discord.
The technical difficulties.
Or no, he's not even in Discord with me.
Yes,
okay.
No?
Yeah, I can hear you now, yeah.
Mic's on. Why can't I hear anything?
You can't hear me?
What is going on? I don't know what cut my audio. I can see my microphone is back, but I can't hear anything right now. Yeah, we do gotta love technology, I guess, sometimes. Source 2, let me see if I do this. Bard, say something?
I am saying something.
No, nothing.
Nothing.
What's going
on?
We're not using Discord. We're utilizing a third app. Thank you for the gifted sub. Say something now, Gibbles.
Okay, can you hear me?
Nope, nothing. What is going on? Let me restart something real quick. Okay, say something now. No.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Nope, nothing. What is going? I seriously have no idea what's going on right now. USB 2.0. I want that one.
Can stream hear me, or is it just okay?
Hear anything?
Just cool. It can't hear anything.
Okay, say something.
Okay, can you hear me now?
There we go. Now I can hear you. I apologize. That was weird. Like, I know the stream can hear us both, but I couldn't hear Bard, so it was kind of... Alright. I got it. We're fixed. And thank you for the gifted, by the way. I know I said it once, but we'll get back into it. Alright. So sorry about that. You want...
Okay, yeah, I'll start kind of from the top.
Start from the top. I apologize. That'll make it easier for editing later.
So... when it comes to content in Savage, or rather gear in Savage, if you have cleared for the week, you remove any other. If you so I'm gonna explain like if you don't know, is what I was doing right now. But if you clear a Savage raid, if you go in again later in the week, you remove loot for the rest of for the loot table. Normally there's 2 chests. Each chest has a certain amount of items in it. And if you have cleared, you instantly remove 1 item from one of the chests. And the more people who have cleared, the more...
Let's clean that up just a little bit. So they have changed it. It is not 2 chests anymore. It is 1 chest. Chest drops generally 4 items on average for each fight. The moment you have 1 person in the fight with you, it drops the chest in half. So you go from 4 items down to 2 items, or if you have 2 items like in P12, it drops it down to 1 item. So that's for any groups going in with 4 or more, or 4 or less cleared. So between 1 and 3 people who have cleared, you drop the chest to half. Anything beyond 4, so if you have 5 or more, you remove the chest from the option of the clear, but the people who haven't cleared still get their book.
Yeah. So this is designed to try and like remove like pay for clears and stuff like that, which I think it doesn't do. People are still gonna pay for clears. And and all it does is just harm the community and its ability to like just continue to like help people and pull more people into raiding. There's that problem, and then there's another problem that I feel like a lot of people have. I'm just gonna just put those out there now so we can have everything out there, is that because there's only 2 sets of high-end raid gear, sometimes that other set of gear, it just isn't worth it at all. So it's not 2 sets of gear, it's 1 set, and it's whatever your bis is, and the other set is just whatever the other pieces are, just a moot point. And so 3 sets, more variability in the gear, and changing the way that I pretty much all I care about is just you get what, make it so you only get you can only get 1 drop a week in a raid, and remove the the if you've cleared, you harm everyone else's drops. Is kind of like all I want, right? And I feel like I'm not alone in this.
So so just for further clarity on this, if the people who've cleared that come in for the second run do not get an opportunity to roll on the gear. So I want to make sure that that's made clear early on, because it's that'll be part of my kind of rebuttal on this. So by bringing in people who have cleared, you cut down the chest, and in doing so potentially could have up to 4 people who've cleared, and you cut the chest in half. I think this is fair, personally, because I think that it promotes a good I'm trying to think of the right word I want to use here. It promotes an equality of gear that drops. Now, do I believe that like a 1 piece per week might fix this? Sure. But at the end of the day, the 1 piece per week still facilitates an 8-week lockout period, which I just don't think is enough. Because if you're saying 1 piece a week, if you don't get it in your first run, then you potentially could go run again and try to get a piece in another run or another. And so you're limiting down the potential for the raid tier down to, I think, tombstone wise, on average, it's about 7 weeks. So you're cutting your raid time down to 2 weeks.
Yeah, that's another thing. Alex's point, I like that. Is a good thing. It discourages practice on your own, and I think Kula crashed again. Cool.
You hear me now? My microphone says it's going off. Okay. It creates the ability to have clear parties. God dang, today is the day of technical issues. Yes, we can hear each other.
Yeah.
It creates an ability to be able to run. So this is vastly. I also want to point out this is vastly different than other MMOs out there. So a lot of MMOs, when you clear the hardest content, you cannot go back into that content again. You cannot. You're completely locked out for the week. You cannot go back in. Final Fantasy still at least allows you to go back in, either to help somebody else, to run in groups that have already cleared. So we see this quite a bit. There are other streamers out there that do speed runs. So they're running the content as fast as they possibly can in an effort to try to make things, to get things cleared as fast as possible, to get the ultimate, the ultimate clear, basically. And I think that by cutting down, like when you bring in somebody who's already cleared, who already can't roll on the loot, you give a higher percentage to the rest of the party on what loot can be dropped. So if there's 4 pieces of gear and you have 8 members of your group, you're potentially doubling the length of time that the savage raid can be run, by the fact that you can't just keep getting gear, right? You at least get the book, right? You still get the book, and if you get a certain number of clears of the book, you get gear that way. But you're limiting the tier. And I hear this a lot, well, I just want to be able to do alts, and I want to be able to, gear up the alts and in the same way that I was gearing up my main, and sure. But like the content is created for single job, not for multi-job. That's not how they built the content around. That's not how anybody builds their Savage content around. It's unrealistic to expect that they're going to build their content, because what's going to happen is half of the people who are only here for the tier to raid, the moment they're done, they unsub. Now, Yoshi P's stance on subbing has stated that he believes that people should be able to sub and unsub at will, and that's that they should take breaks and do other games. That's fine. But and the other piece of this is I think we get into this a bit of confusion as well, is the difference between what's required for gear to do alternate content versus Savage. So 640 gear, which you can deck out in 640 gear, like let's take this tier, right? Your 640 gear, you can deck out in 640 gear week 1 for every class in the game. Every class you have can be 640 gear. And that is more than enough from an eye level perspective to fight the current content. And then when it becomes not enough, they move it to augmented crafting gear, and it can be 650. So right now you can get 650, and 650 gear is high enough to be able to do all of the non-Savage and above content. You can do EXs with it, you can do trials with it, you can do dungeons with it, you can do everything with it. This is specifically in talking. This is in my opinion, this is specifically where we differ from it has to be Savage versus it has to be casual content. So you can't mix the two, right? You can't say I want BIS, but I'm a casual player, because those two things you're not utilizing the eye level of a BIS setup in a casual setting. And that's unfair for the game to provide you with Savage level gear for content that does not even remotely require that.
You can have other content that is like Savage level, right? Like people talk about Criterion Savage as being harder than Savage rating because of the difficulty of not being able to res and things like that. And right. if a Criterion Savage had similar gear that came out with a different level, then yeah, you could have a third set of gear. And it would just be a 4-man content.
And I think right now, so Alex, that's a great statement to make, but let's look at, so that is the case right now. Any general person, non-Savage, can do 90 and roulettes and get their tombstone gear over the course of weeks and get 650 gear, and then when the content flips over to the 24-man, you'll get the 24-man unlocks, which gives you the upgrade to bring it to 660. It's not BIS, but it's 660. So also, I think that like we're losing sight of like the difference between like current Savage content gear on tier, right? So I would consider that while this last 4 fights are still technically the current format, the current 8-man, the 8-man tier is not on tier anymore. It's now behind because we're now in a new patch with 24-man.
You also like the BIS talk and stuff like that. Like you don't even need Savage gear to clear Savage. You can clear P12, while it might be a little more difficult, in 640. You don't even need 650, really.
Correct.
It helps, but like 660 is a nicety. That now in the long run, that's people want that gear, and if you're going to be if you're going to be giving people gear, at the same time we're talking about how like casuals want BIS, right? If you're rewarding the people who are already good at the game, clearing the content, and saying, oh, you're not good enough at this game to clear this content, so you can't get the gear that would help you reach that level, that kind of feels bad. Now, I'm not saying we should.
Right.
I'm saying we should have Savage have part of the BIS, but I think that an alternate form of gearing is required, and like, yes, we have the tombstones, we have the crafted, but at the end of the day, a lot of that gear is like you don't want to touch it. Like as a healer, like the best one I can explain right now is bracelets. The bracelets all suck unless it's raid bracelet. Like you don't even want to equip them, but you just have you just look for whatever's.
But I think that mentality is from a person who wants to do high-end content. You're talking to somebody who's just doing the savage dungeons, and whatnot. I just don't see the correlation there. I just don't like. I mean,
every big number feels good no matter what content you're doing. You don't have to be a hardcore raider to care about and want to have big number. if you're not necessarily doing the hardcore content, you're still going to want like good stats. You're still going to want to have like the good like sub stats. Right.
So
It feels bad when you're getting a piety spell speed on a piece of equipment, and that's like the only thing you have available to you as a 660 when you're
so to answer your question, Alex, I think that the current system and the way that they uncap things after 2 patches is fine. That's my opinion. I think that at that point you can grab 7 people who've already cleared the tier and just drag somebody through it. I don't think it's too late. At what point do you feel like it's too late, though? None of that, like 660 gear is the highest level gear you can get in the game. There's no casual non-savage content that you would need 660 gear for. Like, I understand the whole like swing big, hit big numbers. Like, I get that. Like, that's fine. But if that's what you want to do, then you have to do harder level content. You will blow all Savage players away from this game if you give 660 gear in non-Savage content.
I mean, I'm not saying we should. I mean, we already do, right? We already have 660 with tomestones, right?
Right.
Now you're not gearing solely with tomestones, but all I'm saying is me personally, I think give us a third set, and that content can still be Savage level content, right? I just give us an extra set of content, and I think like stuff like Criterion Savage is a good section to have that. And then there's also the content.
It's still Savage content. That's my point.
Yeah, that's that, and I'm agreeing with you. I'm not arguing with you on that. I'm saying we need a third set of gear so that we have there's more variability.
I think that comes with adding more to the game, right? I mean, if you can add more, like, so Alex, I understand that feeling of like being 2 patches, but like feeling like you're being 2 patches behind. Like, I get that and that effect only happens at the very last patch cycle, because it's always first raid tier drops new crafted gear, right? And then you get 24-man, which does not drop crafted gear, and then you get another 8-man, which drops new crafted gear, which is better than the previous tier, right? It's 10 eye levels better than the previous highest level tier, which is available again to everyone who ups their crafters or pays for the gear from somebody else who makes it. And the only one that it falls behind on is the last tier before you move into the new X-Pack. That's the last 8-man tier is the only one that suffers the eye level drought until 7.0 whatever 0 comes out and takes over that content. But again, like, the eye level difference on like big numbers isn't enough from a 650 perspective versus 640 perspective. So you go 640, your augmented becomes 660. Now here's where maybe we can differ, right? Instead of putting hard stats on it, give me more materia slots for me to pick the slots, but for me to pick the build of how I want to do my build out, right? I think adding more materia slots or adding more powerful materia, like greatly increasing the numbers that you receive from putting materia into something, might sway that balance, right? So I think Bard's concern is like, I have to do either this content or this content to be able to get one of the pieces from these 2 pieces of content to create Abyss.
Well, and it's part of it is the like this piece of gear is the only piece of gear that's remotely good. I'm going to be playing with like annoying stats that might like throw my combo off, like certain classes, like ninja, right? I'm not sure if monk still suffers from this, but like you don't want to exceed a certain spell speed or skill speed, or an amount of piety might like mess you up, or things like this. Your substats, if you don't meet certain requirements or you exceed certain requirements, could completely mess up your combo and like how you want to play.
And I would argue that that mentality is coming from a person who wants to do high level content.
Yeah.
And actually cares about, like, so here's my thing, like people who are optimizing their rotations are generally doing EXs and Savages and Ultimates, and like people who actually care about, you know, optimizing their rotation to the T. Because as Snuggle just said, as somebody with a lot of friends who could care less about doing Savage content, they barely even think about the stats on their gear that they have and have no complaints about the availability of current gear. I think it only becomes an issue when you're talking about higher level content, and at that point, if you're doing higher level content, then sure, we can add a third. You know, that'll drive into our second topic, which is, you know, should we have more gear in more gear drop availability in things like Criterion Savage, or should there be an alternate Savage thing? I just think that, like, I think that the conversation of focusing on eye level, or focusing on like, oh, they've got that before me, that Ogbe got that before me mentality, like, do the content. Like, you want that gear, go and do that content. Like, nobody is stopping you from attempting to do that content.
I mean, I think we're both in agreement of, like, there shouldn't be casual BIS, really,
right?
Because it's a reward. I mean, like, how else are you going to really reward this higher end content? I mean, like, we've already seen glam doesn't work for doesn't really work as a motivator. It does to an extent, but not enough.
The availability for players to say, I got this mount 3-4 weeks in is only going to work for so long, so like how many people care that that people got the Eden mount in a month now that we're in Endwalker? Like, nobody cares. Like, nobody cares. How many people care that people got? Yeah, glamour is a whole nother topic. But how many people care that, like, I got the Dragon of Dragons like 3 weeks into it dropping. Nobody cares. Like, not everybody has it, right? Everybody has the Lander Waffle. Nobody cares about all that extra stuff. So it's just like, it's one of those things that I think we need to differentiate those who care about high-end content in this conversation versus those who are playing the game casually and are not optimizing their rotation. And yes, Joy, I do agree that all melees are very precise on what their GCD needs to be in order to be able to optimize. But again, we're back on that, like, people who care about optimizing their rotation. Like, most people, they get 640 gear, they're fine with 640 gear for a patch and a half. When they can get to the augmented, which is more than enough to get them through the last bit of content to get them into endgame. Like, this is my first raid tier, and I couldn't have cared less about getting the highest level eye gear back when it first came out. That was just me at the time. Now I'm at the point where I'm like, I'm minus weapon BIS on every character that I raid with. So it's like, that stuff I care about, but I went out and did the content.
Yeah, we can go back to the gear that drops. So, like, yes, we're 100%. We're talking about just people who are raiders. We're just talking about Savage raiders. Talking about people doing the highest end content. Those are the only people who are actually caring about, like, the substats and, like, min maxing. I mean, I will say a lot of casual players do care about that. Even if they're not doing the hardcore content. I know a lot of people like this. Some of them don't, like Snuggles is talking about, but I know a lot of them do. Now, that's neither here nor there. If they want the best stats, then there's options for them, right? But if we're talking about right, like the 2-patch cycle before they drop more gear, so we're talking about how we even obtain the gear that is best if we are like Savage Raiders. I'm gonna go back to your thing on like you said if I don't get an item, I just go back in the same day and I get a second clear. I think that if you open the chest, that's your chest that you open, and that's it. If you get the gear, you don't get the gear, that's it. You still get a book,
that's how it
which
is currently, by the way. That is how it is currently.
But I just want to get rid of, now I can still go help my friend.
Right.
That's all I want. And that's still that will still equal out. Like, oh hey, I didn't get a drop this week, and okay, yeah, I'm not gonna roll on the on the loot for my friend, but that's the same thing as if I just didn't roll on the loot for my friend.
But it creates an unfair percentage that they would get if you had a full chest.
But it's still like it averages out at the end of the day. If we kick all of the players always, and we just remove the fact that you don't and remove the fact that you reduce the amount of items in the chest, it would still average out to the same amount of drops or the same amount of.
You would have people who wouldn't care about doing clean runs. They would just do dirty runs for every week, because the more, they would optimize to have 4 people who've cleared and 4 people who haven't, and then they would guarantee themselves the ability to potentially get an item or more items if the system stays the way it is right now.
Well, I mean, you can still, well, one, I'm saying the chest drops, you either get an item or you don't, and you only get one. You can't get more than one item from a chest, and you still get your book. And for the feels bad if you don't get an item, and then you can. I mean, like I see this as a non-issue. I see that I see this personally as these dirty runs. Like they already exist, and even if they do exist, it doesn't matter at the end of the day.
It does, because their percentage of receival if they do 4 and 4 is the same as those who do 8 and 8.
Okay, yeah, but it's the prerogative of those who of the people doing the content a second time. If you average it out, yes, that person is getting more loot, but this person's getting no loot. So like they're still running the content the same amount of time. And you're creating more people redoing.
No loot. They potentially have already gotten loot from a previous run, and now they're increasing the percentage of I guess my thing is, like, I feel like you're asking for a full chest when people have cleared and they don't have the option to get it. But then again, like, even if you move down to a 4 chest with so I just want to make sure I'm clarifying, because I think this is where, like, you're making a statement, but then, like, when you don't look back at the statement that you're making on, like, you move forward with your tract and then you don't move back and say, oh, what am I doing? So, okay, so I just want to follow where I'm listening. I have 8 people who haven't cleared for the week, and I'm with 8 people that haven't cleared, or 7 people that haven't cleared for the week, and we clear, right? There's 4 pieces of loot in the chest. It's you can only take 1. So there's a 1.5, there's 1/2 chance that you'll get a piece of gear, right? By odds, you'll have 1/2 piece. Now, I'm going to take 4 of those, myself and 3 of those people that I was clearing with, and I'm going to bring them in with 4 fresh people. Right?
Yeah.
That's our maximum. So, like, that's our maximum of what we can offer, right?
Okay.
And I clear the content with those 4 new people, and 4 items drop, but the original 4 that I've already cleared can't roll on it because they either did or didn't get gear from their previous clear. Right. No, I'm following that piece, Alex. So the ones who cleared now each have an 100% chance of getting gear because there's 4 items in the chest and 4 people who haven't cleared.
Sure.
So what's
that gear might not necessarily be a piece of gear they need, though.
8-man run and going with a 4-4-man run.
Okay, but here's the thing. So those 4 people are choosing to do another run. You're still only getting it's their prerogative to do that 4 extra run. It isn't they're still losing the gear. 4 people are still losing the math equals out. And then on top of it,
doesn't equal out
there's four items that drop.
Getting their clear for the first time having 100% chance of getting gear versus the original group who only had a 50% chance of getting gear.
Okay, I mean, if we're 2 weeks in and there's 4 people who, oh yeah, I only needed 1 piece of gear from this raid, and I already got it last week, so now we're gonna run these 4 other people through, and I don't need anything. It's the same exact thing.
But it's not.
It's a non-issue.
Increasing the percentage of it is an issue, because if I have a 100% chance of getting gear versus a 50% chance of getting gear, I'm going to optimize to get the 100% chance and not care about the 50% chance.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I actually don't see it as an issue. Like even if you have a higher percent chance of getting gear, I mean,
it's a guarantee. It's not just a higher percent chance. It's a guarantee versus a run where you're not guaranteed. It's those 4 people's
prerogative to then give you that guarantee. You are relying on 4 other people to do that for you.
Sure.
And those 4 people aren't getting gear for running that. Yeah, and
right.
it's hard.
But again,
it's hard to get
I don't see how we gift those who aren't clearing with people who haven't cleared versus those who are actually taking the prerogative to go with a group that hasn't cleared for the week and run the content. Like we're talking about not wanting to do handouts, and this is a handout in my opinion. You're handing somebody a guaranteed piece of drop.
Yeah, exactly. That's what Snuggle said. Just don't. Yeah, you can enter someone else's. You don't get the gear, but you just can't roll on the gear. I think 90% of people, and this is how almost every other MMO handles it. I think most people find that this person who hasn't cleared this week then gets a guaranteed piece. I don't think people care, because at the same time, I'm clearing it a second time. Like, why do I care if they get 100% chance? I'm here to help them get the clear. I'm here to help them get the item.
I don't know. I think that you would turn Party Finder into more of a Sessic toxic pool than it already is by guaranteeing that up to 4 people who run. If you do a 4 who've cleared, 4 who haven't. Yeah, and that's the other thing, is there's a lot more chances for gear in an 8 to 12 boss fight setup in the way that's set up.
I mean, yeah. I mean, a lot of other raids, their content, the raids are longer and they're not just a fight, right?
Right. They're more like our 24-man raids.
Yeah, which is like is some of the content I've come through, but at the same time, like it's. I don't know. There's plenty of times where I'm sure you would do, if I only care about an item that drops from the first boss, anyways, too, right? Or I only care about an item that drops from the final boss.
Alex, in what way? No, it wouldn't, because your percentage of potential winnings is still affected by that.
Well,
so
no,
even on an alt.
But it's not, because okay, so you need the gear. It's our main stuff. I'm gonna go on an alt, because BIS doesn't actually matter for the clear, really, and so I'm just gonna pass on it. I automatically, and we say we have 4 people.
That's only if you're in a group that's the setup. If you're
that's what you're saying. You're saying four people who are in a group have already cleared and are purposefully passing.
No, I'm bringing they have to pass. For people who already cleared would have to pass. You're saying if they've already run, they can't get the gear again. They would have to pass. They would be forced to pass. It's not an option. It's you can't even roll on it.
Yeah, but if you're a group of 4 people choosing to do that, to bring another 4 people in, like, yeah, you don't have to pass, but it's what you're actively doing. It's effectively the same as having to pass.
Sure. But as it stands right now, the percentages remain the same on that same 4-4 group if you keep it the way it is right now. The chest drops to half, which means it's 2 pieces of gear for 4 people rolling. That's 50% chance.
Well, I mean, like Alex is saying, so we go through 8, the 4 people who got 4 people. Okay, so let's say 4 people choose to then let's go on our alts and get these 4 other people 100% gear this week. They go on their alts and they get the clear and they just pass. And then you could do this with a raid group and have like a main group and 4 people are on alts, 4 people are on mains, and then you clear once and then you clear a second time, and all 8 people are 100% guaranteed gear right now. You could do that right now.
Right, but that's having 2 characters up and getting that gearing that way, and I mean that's that. But that's the thing, is that's not how the system is set up right now. The system is set up that the percentages are the same once it drops to more than 1 person, or it's even less. It's a less of a percentage of getting a piece of gear, because if you have 1 person who's cleared, you're at half a chest, so now you're at well below 50% for the 7 people who have to roll the gear. And that's a choice that people choose to bring in people who've already who've already cleared for the week, then take.
Allowing people to help others that after they've cleared. That's what I'm saying. Like we need
you still can
allowing people to just help people clear. Because at the same time, I would love to just practice like P11 early in the week on my actual or like actually do P11 because I'm ahead of my raid static. Right.
Sure.
All I need is a chess piece.
Let's be clear on this. That's saying that every player in the game. We're talking about the fact that the Savage chests drop half the gear when 1 to 4 people have already cleared in the fight, and Gibbles would like to have it set so that the full 4 chest is clear. Full 4 chest drops, but only those who haven't cleared can get the opportunity on those runs. So yeah, it's a full 1 chest with 4 people who've already cleared and 4 people who haven't, which gives it 100% chance. And you can only get 1 piece of gear. You can't roll for multiples and get multiples. You only get 1 piece. So let's not pretend that every player in the game is all sunshines and rainbows and is willing to do stuff like this. You are going to have a massive outpouring of people that are going to complain that it is unfair that those who do content after with other people who've already cleared have a higher percentage chance of getting gear than those who don't. I
do not think they're going to be. I do not think that's going to exist.
I strongly disagree. They were upset at. There are people who are upset right now that the content is quote unquote too that the rotations are too easy. We've seen a million videos on this that the rotations are too easy. And that's fine. Like, these are all opinions and we all respect everybody's opinion, but what I'm saying is the community would rage. The Savage community would rage if you told them that if you cleared with 4 people you were guaranteed 100% a piece of an item versus 8 people who were clearing the same fight not being guaranteed the same 100% piece of gear every week. They would rage.
Again, it's up to the person. It's up to those other 4 people. There's 4
right,
people.
But you're already talking about ways to game the system in order to get yourself gear. Like, that's the whole point. Like,
that already
the way
exists.
the system is now, you can't game the system.
Yes, you can. I already explained how. You have 2. Everyone has alts. You have 4 people clear, 4 people, 4 alts, 4 mains. You clear. You get the gear. You get the gear, and then you run it a second time on the alts. You just run it twice.
If that's what you choose to do, but that's extra work that you'd have to put in for the person who runs 1 character, and that's all they're doing.
Extra work to help a second character clear.
I would argue that doing a fight for 10 to 15 minutes, if you can do it on the first pull, is not taking a bunch of time versus fully leveling up another character and getting them geared.
I mean, okay, yeah. At the end of the day, yeah, like, making an alt can take time. It doesn't take a whole lot of time.
No, the maintenance piece of it is not the problem. It's still the fact that it does take time to do that. And it takes resources too. I just don't want
Yeah, boost. Yeah.
Yeah, and since boost exists, sure, you still have to do 10 levels, and you still have to do full X-Pack, and you still have to get gear for it. Like, there's still like the hardest part of the content isn't getting it to level 80. It's getting it from 80 to 90, going through the X-Pack, getting the gear. That is legitimately the hardest piece of it. I don't know. I feel like you'd be better off adding more I feel like going back to the beginning of this conversation, you'd be better off adding more ways to get gear than to change the way lockouts are right now.
I mean, like, I want both, but
I mean, I know you want both, but in my opinion, you make Savage too easy, or you get out of Savage way faster by manipulating loot pools other than what they are now. So sure, so I guess the question is, in WoW, because I haven't played WoW in a really long time, and I haven't done like the end game Savage content. I know that the highest level mythic, you cannot go in again. So if you're locked out of that content, you can't go in again. But the lower level content, the lower level hard content, you can go in again. And I know that you don't get pieces, but the question is like, let's say I make that run and I don't get a single piece from that run, Snuggles. Can I go back in and try to get a piece on another run? Or am I locked out from getting gear because I've already cleared the fight for the week? I guess that's the biggest question.
So my question to you, or waiting on that, is would you, so right now, if I clear 8 people all haven't cleared, because everyone can roll need on all 4 pieces, like realistically, I'm rolling against 8 people. I have I think it's a 7.5% chance of getting any gear, no matter what the gear, even if it's not a piece of gear I need. Would you prefer you open a chest, you roll 7.5% to get a random piece of gear, and you get a piece of gear or not? You don't even roll against people. This is something similar that like Destiny does, or at least did in its raid when I played it.
So, okay, roll that by me again.
So you open a piece. So you know how like in some chests in dungeons, you open the gear and then all of a sudden you just, or like even in maps, you open the piece of gear, you open the chest, and then someone gets a random. Everyone rolls like randomly on like a loot, and then gets gear, or gets an item from it, or doesn't. Right. So if you have 8 people in your raid, they're all fresh, so we have all the loot, right? You are rolling, I think if you divide 100 by
12.5% chance.
It's a 12.5. Okay, yeah. So 12.5%. The percent doesn't actually matter. You have a 12.5% chance of getting anything, and it might not even be a piece of gear you actually want or need. Would you like it if you open the chest and it is a 12.5% chance of you getting anything out of it, and it just completely rolls on the loot table? You do not roll against other players. It just roll 12.5% chance.
Yeah, if that's my only time to be able to get it, and other people are getting the exact same percentage, up to the exact same percentage in their runs, then yes, I would be totally fine with that.
Yeah, and then we just roll, and then it doesn't lock people out if you go help them on clear the content again.
As long as the percentage is the same, that's what I care. That's what the majority of high-end Savage Raiders are going to care about. They don't want handouts. They don't want people to hand out stuff. And again, this again actually makes this actually makes my point, Alex. By when raids used to actually drop pieces of gear instead of dropping the coffers, then you had to actually give it to people who needed it, who could greed on it or need on it, versus those who could greed on it. This is now easier because it's coffers. You get a coffer drop, and then you just open the coffer, and it's a thing for you. So it's already easier than it was in the past, and arguably already easier than some other content that's out there from other MMOs that are out there. Again, I think that, yeah, exactly. So like you're like, there's a complaint that there's not enough gear, and they just changed the RNG on it so that if you get a coffer, you will get gear.
The problem I'm having at the end of the day isn't the RNG. I don't care about it taking longer to actually clear the raid tier or to like gear up completely. What I'm caring about is the ability to like go do P11 and then go back to P9 and help some friends clear and not be like actually like a burden helping them do
How
content.
are you a burden though? If they're
Because
getting
you're removing their loot pool.
But if it's their very first clear, you're helping them get a clear so that next week they can do what you're doing.
Well, I mean, not necessarily. It might not necessarily be their first clear. Maybe I did P10 today, and it took me 3 lockouts to get through it because people kept dying to Bonds 3, and then into Wings.
Yes, I agree, Conjured. I and like I said before, as long as the percentage roll is the same across the board. That's what I care about. If the moment that it becomes a better percentage for those who've already cleared, for those who haven't cleared, who run with already cleared, then it becomes an unfair balance. And yes, you get people who would want to do that. That's fine, but that's not the point. Like, you're incentivizing people to, you'd be incentivizing people to not run on unlocked loot versus those that would. And you would get party finder groups, okay? Let's imagine this. You would get party finder groups where people would allow everybody in, right? The moment they got in, if it wasn't 4, everybody would bail. And then you'd try to group again. You'd group again. You'd jump in. If it was 5, you'd bail.
I mean, you wouldn't necessarily know if someone can roll
the
loot.
The moment that you go in, it tells you how many people.
Well, right now it does, yeah, but you wouldn't know if the 4 other. So, like, right now, people do that. People jump in and, oh, it's not a full chest. Why am I here? I'm out.
That's because they can't read. There are party finder settings that you can put in to keep it so that you only get people who have cleared for the who haven't cleared for the week.
Weekly reward unclaimed. Yeah.
Right.
But that you can it's I don't know. I think that's a moot point on that. My in my mind, at least, I feel it feels bad when the loot pool is reduced because someone is cleared, period. And it doesn't feel like a good thing to have happen. It just makes it feel like it just feels bad. Feels Batman. And
feels bad, Batman.
And if you create the opportunity for people to be able to play the content more often, then it's just going to improve the community. In my mind, you are going to be able, if I can roll multiple times through with people and I'm not hurting their ability to get content. Maybe I really like P9. I just want to clear it over and over and over again. But oh hey, if I join this party, I'm gonna remove
you could make a parse group or a bars group or a group that, like, we saw groups today. Gibbles was seeing groups for clearing on alts, for people who've already cleared. Like, those things are out there. I mean, and that's my problem is, like, I don't want to inconvenience players who are doing the content fresh from those who are trying to get, I don't want to call it a cheapened clear, but it's those who have already cleared and got their clear earlier this week that are now, I don't know, it just brings the pool of availability down, in my opinion. I don't know. I think that's sure, but I mean, that's always going to be a problem, right? You can't rely. Sure, yeah, and I get that, but that's there are statics that run on Sundays and Mondays.
Yeah, our static runs on Sunday.
Right. So it's like you can find groups that run late in the week, and that's not a problem. Like, I get that. Like, but that's just like, that's the fact of life. Like, everybody deals with work schedules. Like, I mean, some of us don't deal with them in the evenings. Like, but some of, like, work schedules is a thing that you deal with.
So
let's be clear, you're not ruining somebody's ability to get gear. You're just changing the loot percentage for the number of people you bring into the fight. And at the end of the day, when you get your clear, you still get a book. And you can still use that book to trade in for the same gear that you're getting in the chest. What?
The loot percentage goes down to 0.
After 5 or more, yes. But at 4, you still get a 50% loot drop, which is the same amount that a full group of uncleared would have.
Except it's not a full loot amount because there's 2 less items that drop, and a lot of times
you're missing percentage. You're missing percentage. 8 to 4 versus 4 to 2.
The item that drops might not be your item too.
Sure. What's going on, Hex? What's going on, man? Welcome in. We got a Hex raid in here.
Hex cleared P11 today, and then did and then
he's
he
doing
did
some blind prog P12.
Hell yeah.
Welcome in, Raiders. If you don't know who we are Beards of Light Podcast. My name is Kula Monster Gaming. This is Gibbles Destruct. Oh, and you got a T12 clear. Nice. That's awesome. Are you guys moving on to Alex after this? Oh no, you still have 14 and 15, or 13 and 14. You still got more turns to do. I forgot there was more fights.
They've got arguably like the most hype.
The 3 hardest fights, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, just T13? Okay. And then you guys are doing Alex? Okay.
Yeah, I was thinking there was only 13.
Yeah, I couldn't remember. It's been a while since I've looked at that content. But welcome in, guys. Every Monday we run this podcast unless somebody's sick or we aren't available like we were last week. But yeah, we today's episode we have been talking about Savage loot drops and whether they're fair for and gear that runs off of Savage, eye leveling gear. Our next topic is going to be on the second Savage coils. Oh, there is a second set. It's the same fights. It's just harder, I think. But yeah, we definitely appreciate the raid. Thank you guys so much for coming in and hanging out. But yeah, so we're gonna be talking about other avenues that we might like to see Savage content and Savage gear drop for us. So I think the biggest one that is glaring that we can utilize, if Gibbles, you're all right to move on to the next topic.
Yeah.
Is
I think we beat that horse
Criterion enough. Savage. Yeah, we gotta beat this one for a bit. I am in full agreement with Gibbles on this. I think where I think that Savage, the Savage Criterion needs to drop more. It is arguably harder content than the regular content, than the Savage content, because it's no reses, 4 people, you go all the way back to the beginning, and it's multiple bosses. So I think it's arguably harder content, and I think that you should get more for it. I think it was nice that they did the weapon upgrade this time around, but I think it should be weapon. I think it should be gear coffers. I think that stuff is, I think at that point you'd have to put a lockout on it so that people aren't running content over and over and over again, because right now you can run and get the oh man, that stinks, man. I'm sorry to hear that, DJ. Yeah, he's gotten no drops for 6 weeks on P12. I think that arguably you'd have to put a lockout on the number of times you can clear or the number of items you can get. Thank you for the hydrate. But yeah, people are just clearing it to get the weapon upgrade. I have to fill my water. I'm actually empty. Thank you for the follow.
But yeah, yeah. When it comes to the Criterion, I think it also follows a thing that a lot of people want, and that's a third. That's a third BIS pool, right?
Yeah.
It feels bad to have with the 2 BIS pools. A lot of time, you just don't. The variety just isn't there. And everyone, if everyone, a lot of people are still complaining about the drops in 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 Criterion Savage. Still to this day,
Yeah,
they're still complaining, even if it is just the weapon.
And I agree, Joy. I think that change was awesome. Guys, we're gonna hit an ad here in about 4.5 minutes, just as FYI. But yeah, I do agree, Joy. I think that it was a great change that they did. That they pushed out Savage content a week after normal. So you have a week to do the normals, and then you have a week to do the Savages. You know, the next week you can do the Savages. It gives time to kind of go through that process, get gear, get food. You know, it's a good solid week to get all that stuff done.
Yeah, it I mean, how it like if they added other content besides Criterion Savage, like one content I've talked about in the past is like a 4-man extreme trial type of content. Like they can take previous dungeon final bosses, ramp them up to like really high difficulty, throw it in as a 4-man synced event. Like if we throw in some extra gear into that, how would we feel? We could also split where like maybe where even gear comes from. I did it if they're not going to give a three sets, but that you could make jewelry drop from the 4-man version and like the 4-man fights in content, and you can have actual gear drop from the 8-man gear. Different things like this give us different different content to do, where we can get more of these high-end rewards. And I think Criterion Savage is a good example of that.
Yep. Yeah, I would be okay with a lockout on Criterion Savage, just to kind of match kind of that energy of getting gear. It would still double up time or give you another avenue to be able to create Abyss of some kind, to be a third Abyss from gear in Criterion Savage.
I think this one's kind of less aggro than our last topic.
It is a little less aggro, but you know, I think it would be okay. So when you build a Abyss, DJ, you use the Tombstone gear, the Savage Raid gear. We're talking about adding another avenue of 660 gear, essentially what would be current gear 660. So whether that's you drop the upgrades, you could drop the upgrades from the Criterion Savage in the way that they have the weapon upgrade in Criterion Savage. So you could do that for like standard for upgrading Tombstone gear. You could do that as well, make that earlier, so you could do Savage content to get those, or just creating a whole new set of gear that would be locked out behind something like a Savage Criterion or a 4-man Savage Trial or something, you know, some kind of hard content, right? I mean, I think that like the level of Savage content right now we have is, before Criterion was just Savage 24-man, or sorry, Savage 8-man, and then they added Ultimates, which Ultimate gear never transfers in as being viable eye level gear. So I think that there's like this want of like, instead of being bound to 2 sets of gear, I pitched something a little bit different earlier, which is like, instead of putting stats on gear, you have to meld in stats, and the melds just are worth more, and so that you can kind of build your own custom. Like, there'll still be Bisses out there to kind of mess with the Biss, but like, instead of having to have healers worry about piety or stuff like that, yeah, ultimate gear is basically glam.
Yeah. I'm wondering how you feel about this though. So like, Alex is talking about elemental gear. I don't. Because I hated Eureka, so I didn't finish it. But was that ever like part of Biss or like competitive with?
It
with
was
Biss?
never competitive. It was always the way that. Also, this is for Conjured Cow's gifted sub, by the way. So anybody who gifts subs gets the ability to put ornaments in my beard. Ta-da.
So
But yeah, anyways, the elemental gear, and I'm going to hit add here in about 7 seconds, so I won't go too hard into it. Was basically relic gear.
Yeah. What I'm saying is if they include another 24-man Savage with the next set of exploration that they've set to do, how would we feel about putting the third set behind a 24-man Savage that is also like tied to an exploration zone? That's a lot of work.
It is a lot of work, but I think it's doable.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Diadem, the weapon, the second version of Diadem that they released, the weapon was BIS. It was better than Raid, but it had a really, really low chance of dropping. Like it was actually,
DJ
it actually
might
had
be in ad right now, so he might be ad jailed.
Oh yeah.
So we'll have to bring the piece up.
Yeah, but it was actually better.
Yeah, it was better.
Yeah, RNG. Yeah. Eureka Hydatos in Stormblood was BIS too. So okay, so it was the the elemental gear at some points were in BIS. Oh, the weapon itself. Oh, I mean, like at certain points, the relic weapons like meet BIS or exceed
probably
BIS.
Asking if we're out of. We got 1 more minute and then we'll be out.
Yeah.
Welcome in. Oh, you got skipped. Oh, nice. Okay, so you're still here. Cool. We'll give we'll go light for the next 50 seconds or so, just to make sure we don't exclude those who have been sitting here for a while. But yeah, I think that like a Bajja Savage, that would have been nice to do like armor or weapon other than relic. I know Gibbles has some feelings on the relic and its steps. We might dive that into a section another day. But let's just say that Gibbles is not a fan of Fates.
I like the bicolor gemstone system, and I like Faith. I just hate that they tie everything to Fates.
Yeah.
Is essentially it.
It's
good content. It
seconds.
Sucks that out constantly.
All right, community is back. Cool. We are back. But yeah, so yes, I do believe Diadem was BIS through patch content, the Ethereal Pink stuff, as well as I can't remember if Stormblood Eureka Gear was BIS back in the day. It's not.
Joy is saying that the Hydatos was BIS.
Okay, so that was another avenue to get BIS gear, was to do Eureka and go through that.
Yeah, because I mean the relic weapon itself has supposed to been like another avenue for like a BIS weapon. It's just always so
had some gear as well that was semi-BIS, but it was 5 slot. It was basically crafted. It's basically free crafted without having to pay for crafted with 5 slots with a 5 slot guarantee.
Have a bicolored gemstone gear set? Oh god, no.
Forlorn buff. That wouldn't be too bad. I actually wouldn't mind that. Having a bicolored gemstone set to be able to do like a XP gear.
Yeah, I feel like an XP gear would be fine. Yeah, especially because I have problems with
the Forlorn is the XP gear.
Yeah, because the Forlorn maidens show up. I think the gearing right now is also pretty rough in and of itself.
True.
Yep. After level cap, yeah.
Having kind of leveling gear. I'd like them to change I want them to change the jewelry piece that they give every new X pack, so that you can chain them.
Oh yeah. So like instead of just an earring, well, I mean the headpiece works until what 15 or 30?
15.
And then 15, yeah. And
yeah,
then
but I mean, like they give you earring. If you pre-order the game, they always give you a catch-up earring.
Yeah, the Almegan and the crystal.
Yep, and then the I can't remember what the one for Stormblood was, or for Endwalker was. It was a road to. It was basically a road to 80 buff. But it'd be cool if they like staggered them down since you go. When do we get a mustard earring, JK? No, I want mustard bracelet. Okay, bracelet, Alex. I already have earrings. I want bracelet.
It'd be a nice thing, but I mean, like they do only chain up to a certain level anyway, so that I don't think that would be too
right. But that's what I mean. Some of them chain to like some of them chain to 80, and some of them chain to 70, and some of them chain to 60. So if you had like an earring that was 80, a bracelet that was 70, and a ring that was 60, you could have that grouping that just power leveled your characters up through to level 60, and then not as much to level 70, and not as much. Yeah, it was the Menfina's earring was the 0 to 80. That's correct. But I'm saying like if they did a rotation of jewelry, then you could benefit getting your characters up when you create new characters to be able to get them up faster without having to pay for the boost.
Yeah.
All right, so I think we'll move on to our last topic, which tonight is the slice of life content. So just kind of going over what we consider to be slice of life content. I personally consider the ocean fishing boat a slice of life content. It is super chill.
I mean,
the last topic
are we not here for fishing in Mahjong?
Yeah. The ocean fishing is slice of life. I enjoy ocean fishing. I think it's super fun. I think they need to do more with it. I think it needs to be more frequent. I think we definitely need to get more of it.
What do you think of instead of it being more frequent, having a second boat that leaves at a like Kugane on like that leaves at like the other hour?
That would be more frequent.
Yeah, but having a second just a second.
I want something every week. The Ocean Fishing, it was so much fun. It would be nice if they would double up the timing on it.
Yeah,
I don't care that it goes out of a different timing. Yes, we need updated gigs. Yes, we do. Yes, we do. MJ, welcome in, man. Thank you. The
jig, the freaking offhand for
the offhand for fishing. Fisher. Welcome in, MJ. How was your stream?
Welcome.
Not too much, man. We're moving through our podcasts. We're on topic 3. We're an hour and a half in. We're doing good. I really liked the Island Sanctuary. We won't get into how we get to Island Sanctuary. That is spoilery content, so we don't want to spoil those who are still behind. But I want something. Yeah. So the Eureka stuff and the Bowser stuff was fine. The large scale content was fine. I think we're talking more of like the casual stuff. Like I'd like to see. I want to see Blitzball in me and everybody else, right? Everybody wants Blitzball.
We're never gonna get it.
We're never gonna get it. That's right. And we're gonna or here, I'll consolation here, right? So let's not do Blitzball, but let's do Final Fantasy VII snowboarding. Come on, like I would satisfy Wraith's need for Final Fantasy VII stuff and more casual content.
Just get
no, because you're battling. I'm talking more of like the non-battle content. So like ocean fishing, you're just kind of literally standing there casting, and you're still getting points and potential rewards. Island Sanctuary, you're gathering. You're not fighting anything really. Thank you for trusting us with your community. Thank you so much. Go raid and run. Also, Hex, if you're still here, go run, go eat, go do something. You don't have to stick around. Please raid and run. I mean, you can if you want to. I'm not gonna tell you not to stick around. Please stick around. But yeah, if you got stuff that you need to do, then please raid and run, and head out. Have a great night. Thank you for coming in. This is the Island Sanctuary is what you have words about. I want to hear what these words are, Harley. I want to know what they are.
I actually I'll tell you what they are. I know exactly what they are, and then the same problem I have is that they shouldn't have. I mean, like. So story-wise, I guess it does make sense, but they should not have locked it behind level 90.
Sure, absolutely, 100%. I agree with that. That's why I'm saying I want more casual content. Yes, it should have been basically available after ARR.
We had a discussion of this before on how like we wish they would add like say like directly after ARR we turned the
Scions of the Dawn into your own personal home.
Yep. And then make that like I mean like it got I mean we're not talking spoilers, but I mean this is ARR, so I think it's safe. It got sacked. It got ransacked, right? So
what? Wait, what? It got ransacked? Oh God damn! Spoilers.
Yeah, you get access PvP at level 30, but not Island Sanctuary. Yeah, but yeah, give us like make us rebuild. Give it to us. Have us rebuild it. Create like something similar to Island Sanctuary, where we're like building, we're crafting, gathering, building up an area that is our own thing. Give us more freaking Animal Crossing in Final Fantasy. I think that was a great addition, but locking it so late in the game, I feel has really hindered it overall.
For sure, 100%. But yes, so for those who missed episode 2, we'll rehash this really quick because this was my absolute 100% want for the game, right? So 2 of the other pieces of content that you can do that I would consider to be casual are subs and boats and gardening are both locked behind housing, and I hate it. I hate that it's locked behind housing. I hate that you have to have a house in order to be able to do it. I wish that they had made a system for it. So here is my system. Now that we've gotten the Island Sanctuary system, which basically tells us we can do instanced anything, right? This is my system. Your Scions of the Dawn headquarters is your first house, right? Your very first house. You get it. Everybody gets one, right? Everybody's personal house is the Scions of the Dawn, and it's a large, and you can decorate it however you want, and you get access to ships, and you get access to gardening through it, and you treat it, for those who played old school Guild Wars, I'm going to throw this out there, for those who played old school Guild Wars and did the Eye of the North expansion, what you'd do is you'd get into a party and you'd be party lead, and then you'd walk into your Hall of Monuments, and then everybody who walked into your Hall of Monuments would see your Hall of Monuments. You were the one at the party lead that ran it, that it became your Scions of the Dawn housing, you know, whatever it is, and it would unlock everything for everybody. Nothing would be locked behind anything. It would solve the Thavnarian onion crisis that we have, that people are spending way too much money on Thavnarian onions if they don't have a house and they can't garden it. That's it's too much. Like, it's too much. Like it's so easy now to go back and say, hey, we need to do this. Yes. Thank you, Snuggles. Thank you. You understand. But you know what I mean, Snuggles? Like that kind of a thing where you can literally walk in with your group and have them see what your accomplishments are, right? That's like you get they could do more housing trophies on pieces of content that you completed, and then you could hang them up. Or there could be like an awards room in your house that would just put up where you were in the game and the awards that you had won, right? I mean, that kind of stuff would be really cool. You could put, there'd be a room for your picked relic weapons that you could put up that, you could show them off. Like, there's a lot of options here that you could utilize that would theoretically be casual content because you got it from other things and then you're decorating your room in this way. Absolutely 100%, Harley. Yeah. 100%.
The housing is also 100% a like casual, a slice of life content, but the problem is that, like, unless you're on Dynamis, it's like impossible to get a house. And I mean, like, I 100% I agree with their original vision. It was a cool idea of you're in a community. Some points in the game, like depending on what community, what neighborhood you're in, it actually does feel like a neighborhood. It feels good. People have like parties outside their house, like still to this day. Like it happens, but it is hindered by people who, because there are still some people who, like Alex said, like it should be one house per service account. There are some people who own like entire wards.
Yep.
because they had a ton of gil back in A Realm Reborn, and they bought every house on alts and different things, and now they own freaking everything.
But like, think about that, and then take away personal housing in the wards and just do FC housing.
Oh yeah,
instance 100%. FC neighborhoods, and everybody gets the same. Everybody gets the same color, size house, and they can all decorate together. There's no fighting or anything like that. But then you also have your personal house that you can work on. You can decorate it your way, and then the FCs can lock their houses the way that they want them. Right? It's just, I think. We just got raided by a free raid. Oh boy. What's going on, dude? Thank you for the early birthdays. My birthday is Friday this week, for those who don't know. Thank you guys. And we are going to be doing a 24-hour stream on my birthday, but that's for another time. Yes, it's Friday. Not today, Friday. But we are going to be doing a 24-hour stream, so you're welcome to come and chill with us then. But thank you, Free, for coming in and trusting us with your community. Welcome in, Raiders. If you guys don't know who I am, my name is Cooler Monster Gaming. I am joined with Gibbles Destruct. Every Monday, we do the Beards of Light podcast. Today, we are talking about casual content, savage content, gearing. We're on our slice of life content, Free. I think Free really thoroughly enjoyed the newest edition of Slice of Life content, which would be the Fall Guys stuff that's going away. I know he got his King Bean title, but we're talking about Slice of Life content. So that's the Island Sanctuary stuff. That's ocean fishing, housing, just wanting to expand more on that. It's harder than Ultimate Rating. Yeah. That's funny. That's awesome, man. Well, welcome in, Free. Thank you. If you need a raid and run, please do so. Please do that after stream care, because if Super's in here, as Super would say, aftercare is sexy. Keeping yourself self-care is sexy. Keeping yourself healthy. Let's make sure you get hydrated, get a snack. But yeah, thank you guys so much for coming in tonight. Meeting, yeah, you can have a meeting all you want on that, Harley. But yeah, so I'd like to see an expansion or bringing Island Sanctuary down to lower level content. I think it's something that would be nice to let lower level players build. I'm still waiting for them to put gardening in Island Sanctuary. I think that's the gardening fix right now. Can't go back and fix housing. Having a meeting about the island. Yes.
Yeah, no, 100% like gardening in the island. I think they need to be adding more, 100% more, adding more into just the function of the island. I know they've been adding more and more like furniture you can add. Like, did they double it last time or something like that? It was a big amount of extra furnitures you could have, but also like adding decorating inside some building inside the Island Sanctuary as well, like we talked about with when it comes to like creating like the Signs of the Seventh Dawn being your first house. A lot of people are clamoring for like a building inside where you can decorate inside the island and not just having at your outdoor furniture decoration.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, I think more ocean fishing. I think having it in 2 points would be great. You know, maybe one in Kugane, maybe one in the Shadowbringers expansion. I think that would be appropriate as well. I think that would be great. Yeah.
You can also put
2 points and every hour. Yeah, for sure, 100%. And every hour, I think it's a great. I would even be okay with them lowering the level XP down, like not getting as much XP if they did it every hour, like that it was the same grind from 1 to 90 as current boats are, just doing it more often.
I mean, fishing is already like you level fishers so fast.
Super fast.
It is insane how fast you level it. Any other like kind of content that we want to see out of something like Blitzball ish? I think I know I mentioned it in my stream. I don't think I mentioned it on the podcast, but something like a Dead by Daylight kind of clone in 14.
Yeah, that would be super fun. I think that would be something.
I think definitely adding in other types of content in
Thank you, free.
it doesn't even necessarily need to be tied to the gold saucer, but it could.
Yeah,
right.
You could have some Emmett. You could have Emmett be the villain.
I after I mentioned the Dead by Daylight, I don't think they would do actual like story villains, because otherwise it would have to be story locked in order for you to access it.
That would be cool too. Doing some kind of like 4-man scary content.
Oh yeah, like a Left 4 Dead crossover, that'd be cool too. Yeah, something.
Yeah, I definitely would like to see. I don't know. I know that they're kind of adverse to doing like gambling based games, but like the Golden Saucer could use some like Americanized gambling games, like like cards.
What? No, you want we want some pachinko in there?
It would be fun to do like a FC poker night, right? I mean, just play poker in game with the FC. Throw up your blackjack. Yeah, for sure, 100%.
Just throw up everyone in the FC. Load up Red Dead 2. No. What was it? I was gonna say something. What was it?
The one thing I am adverse on for like casual content, right? So they have talked about bringing in the brain, the Final Fantasy, the new versions of the Final Fantasy remakes, the old remakes, into the Final Fantasy game, where you can go to like the little game bag and play them there. I'm entirely adverse to that. I just don't see it as a thing that I would enjoy or something that I would utilize. They're talking about purchasing the games again for that avenue. It's like, how many times have we purchased Final Fantasy 1 or Final Fantasy 2, right? We've wanted it. There's a million ways to get it.
No, I don't think they should add Pixel Remaster like inside the like toy.
Yeah, that's what it is. Pixel Remaster.
Yeah,
they made a mention of it at the last FanFest in EU, that they were talking about doing something like that. So yeah, I'm entirely not thrilled about that particular piece.
Yeah, I think 100%. I like the idea of like the horde mode, like a horde mode survival kind of content, a PvE content similar to like PvP. I feel like that would be a really cool addition to the game as well. I mean, it is combat, right? But it's still it still definitely could be casual and and more of like a slice of life kind of content as well.
100%.
But
I think that they also roll back onto the Savage content. It would be nice if they did some kind of like super low tombstone equivalent for PvP, that you could earn some points and then buy PvP here. That would be beneficial for higher level content if you wanted to, but it would have to be in like crystalline conflict, maybe like ranked crystalline conflict or ranked rival wings kind of stuff.
You start to create problems with that. So I'm gonna bring an example. Because I bring up Destiny all the time, but you you start to create problems. Like there was certain like it wasn't this necessarily, but some of the best weapons in the game, just period, came specifically from what was called trials, which was like the grindiest PvP you could like possibly have in game. You had a scorecard. You had to win like I think it was like 9 matches in a row without losing a single time in 3v3 content in order to clear it, and you had like a certain window. And like some of the weapons you would get from that were like the best weapons in the game, and like you needed them in order to like you don't need them.
I'm not talking about it being better than some of the other stuff. I'm just talking about if we're talking about another avenue in order to be able to get stuff. Harder PvP stuff, the ranked rival wings, and thank you for the follow.
I think I also don't know if I would like a trial, like, or not trial, a PvP disc. That was a thought I had in my mind, was like a PvP gear that like gave you PvP bonuses, but I don't think I'd want that either.
Yeah, I don't necessarily think it needs to be PvP bonuses, but you know, maybe instead of 660, you make it 650 gear, so that's an avenue to get something just a slightly better in tier content.
I mean, you could add like something similar to like the 24 man.
Yeah,
100%.
well, if you do it as 6/6, so in tier, if you do it as 650, then it would be the same as normal Tombstone.
Yeah.
So I'm just thinking of it in that context. What about anybody else have anything from the audience that they'd like to see as like a slice of life type deal, stuff that they've played in other games? I know that like the farming stuff from the Island Sanctuary has been kind of big. I kind of wish that they kind of dove into that a little bit more. I almost want them to do more of like a Stardew Valley type like dealio. We don't do sound redemptions during podcasts because we record this to put onto YouTube. Otherwise we would.
Oh my god.
An Amharic dating sim. Yeah, that's a good one. That would be a good one as well.
I thought you said Amaranth for a second. I was like, why do we have Amaranth in 14?
No. Yeah, something like so that would be kind of cool. Like doing like a that too. Yeah. I think it would be cool to do something like that in your island, right? You like bring gifts from your island. Amaranth painting.
Oh my god,
that's funny. Bring something in your island, like an item from your island that you could use to like like gain favor with some of the like the more current NPCs, and you can do stuff like that. I think that would be awesome.
Oh yeah, like gifts that they have.
Custom deliveries. That's right. They are kind of halfway there. They just got to do it with like more relevant characters.
Yeah, you could make every Scion have that too.
They could do that with NPCs. So let's hash it out. You could do that with NPCs, just like the NPCs that you see in the game. You get relationship points, and those relationship points they could like help you do things on your island, like gather specific things, and the way that they do in Harvest Moon, or
I have like a full guide. Okay, hey, so if you want this dog as a minion on your island, then you need to friendship this person. And then they'll give you 2 cats if you take care of those 2 cats.
These rep points, I would say, have to be more like the WoW ones, where when you gain some, you lose some in others.
I wouldn't agree with that. I would say just because there's already gonna be so many like things because you could add this to a lot of NPCs. And you could only like give like one gift like a week or something like that, or like I don't necessarily think you'd have to like lose standing with some people. It'd be similar to like the tribes, right?
Yeah,
as well.
That would make sense. I do like Joy's idea of bringing. So Joy said I thought that it'd be fun to have like a 2D hack and slash mini game, maybe in the Golden Saucer or something like that. Have cute little mini 2D characters. Yes, I agree. That would be super adorable. And Alex, they do have that. Your company, what is it? It's in your FC, you can go downstairs into your basement into the company workshop and collaborate on an item that you guys can create.
He's talking about specifically Sanctuary though. He's talking about he wants to have to bring friends in to help craft something specifically.
Okay, yeah. So you want like a company workshop inside your island sanctuary, basically.
Yeah,
that would make sense.
I mean, like they removed the requirement to have more than one person, like a party there, in order to craft something for your company workshop. But adding something where you would need people for the sanctuary, I don't necessarily know how that would go over. I feel like some people would like it. Some people would be. I mean, like maybe it's easier if you have more people, but it's doable with one.
Yeah. In the same way that the company workshop can be done with multiple people, or can be done with one person, but is easier with multiple.
Yeah. I remember back in the day when you'd have party finders up for like, hey, I need 3 crafters to join my party so I can craft this thing. I'll give each person 1,000 gil, and you just join. You just be on a crafter and just go to their FC.
Yep. The dark days of Heavensward. Let's see. I'd like to see this isn't really well, I guess crafting could be considered casual. I'd like to see them do more I'd like to see them do offhand relics that you can get shiny offhands as well as main hands. That would be cool.
Yeah. And I feel like that leads into a lot of other a lot of people want just like in general offhands to be glamourable or like interchangeable, not bound to whatever the main hand is. If you have like in not just for crafters but for even combat classes, like right, like they want like the sheath for samurai to be different. They want to be able to have like 2 different ninja daggers. And not necessarily affect the stats, right? But they want it to be able to be change it for glamour purposes. Great example is Astro, and it always has the same card set.
Yeah, I think another game, a different game other than Triple Triad would be awesome.
Just throw Yu-Gi-Oh in.
Throw Yu-Gi-Oh in.
Let me play Yu-Gi-Oh in Bonus 14.
Yeah, glamour we kind of touched on last week a little bit. I'd like a more like a transmog system, like if you've had it in your inventory, kind of the Diablo 3 thing. It's one of the few things from WoW that I'm like, that would be kind of nice to have that in our game. Like a transmog type system would I think be actually worn it. Again, I think it's a wear thing. You have to have worn it once in order to keep it like keep people from just like, oh, I had it in my inventory, now I can put it on, because then you could just trade those items around.
Yeah. Oh yeah, if it was spirit bound to you, I feel like that's probably.
Yeah, but then you'd have to battle with it until you became fully spirit bonded to it.
Well, no, if you attack something while you have,
it gives you 1%. Yeah, it gives you the 1%.
Yeah. And then you can't trade it after that. Yeah.
Yep.
But
3 minutes until an ad.
Yeah. Yeah, but I feel like definitely the if you improve the glamour system just in general, you innately will improve slice of life, because you're gonna increase the amount of people that are going to be searching for glamour. If they don't have to inventory manage on top of it and have to go to the glamour dresser and have to go to the armory chest and like, oh, where's my piece of where's my relic piece? Is it in this retainer? Is it in my chocobo saddle? Is it in like where is it? I'm not entirely certain.
I think they made things a little more streamlined when they brought in the glamour plates.
Oh yeah.
You know, you're not having to like, find the item, pull it out of storage, and then glamour it individually. Every time you change the item, you glamour it to a plate, and then the plate gets applied every time you change classes.
I had a whole new world happen to me like a week ago when I found out that you could actually bind glamour plates to gear sets, and it wasn't.
What? You didn't know about that?
I did not know about that. Wasn't a thing when it first came out. I'm like 90% sure that wasn't when glamour plates first became a thing. But
they use that all the time.
Yeah, I was like, okay, well, if my healers always have the same glamour, that's fine, whatever. Because like if I swap to a glamour plate, then it just redoes it to all the gear. That's whatever. I didn't realize that if I could set the glamour plate to the gear set, and I could just hit the button, and not only do I change to my Astro for my Sage, I also changed my outfit. I didn't realize that.
I think it was probably the patch after glamour plates were released. It was pretty quick.
That was in Shadowbringers. I was no. It was in Shadowbringers. No, because glamour plates were in Stormblood.
That's right. Yeah, it came into Shadowbringers. Yeah, it was late last year.
Okay. Yeah. I stopped playing early Shadowbringers,
last
like 2 weeks into Shadowbringers, so that makes sense. Yeah.
Nice. Well, yeah, I don't think I've seen anything else from the chat that I think we should do. Yeah, I think I'm happy with where this wraps up. We're adding here in about 30 seconds, so
yeah.
We'll try to wrap up quick here, but all right, I think we are off the next couple weeks, if I remember correctly, is what we set up.
Yeah.
No, we have one more episode on the 18th. We do have one more episode on the 18th, and then we're off until the beginning of the year. I think we're back on the 16th, not the. We'll have to recheck the dates for the accessibility one because I got tickets to go see a football game the first week of January, so that's going to put that potentially could put a damper on January's first episode.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just need to know. I need to figure out when things are happening. I think it's not going to be a problem because I think the game we're going to end up going to is going to fall on a Sunday. We'll be back on Monday. So I just need to make sure that I'm actually going to be back in time for the episode.
Oh yeah, because you already asked for the day off too.
Yeah, that's why I want to make sure I can get. I won't know for a little bit, so I just want to make sure I'm catching in on that. So worst case scenario, I will. You guys will probably just have the episode without me, and I'll send you over the. But yeah, I can't break this, so it's gonna be. We're gonna have a minute and a half running.
I mean, I'm showing it's over. So.
On my side or on your side?
Oh no! Now I see ad break ends in 1 minute. Never mind. Now I see it. Yeah. I feel like so. Like the first topic, I feel like we beat that horse until it was dead. And then every other topic, it was we were just kind of in agreement on things like more gear needs to come in.
More anything needs to come
more
in.
Anything, yeah.
To that content, honestly, I think it would do itself.
Yeah, I am hopeful. I mean, they've done so much, and they've gotten. I feel like they've done all of the back end work, right? They've done they've done most of the graphics update work. They've done they've done like the improvement, a lot of the quality of life changes to the game. They've done all of their like back end catch up work to make and improve the game overall on it in its bones, and I think they need to add some more meat to it.
And I feel like if the cloud gaming servers become a thing, then that's going to change everything from the perspective of from that back end perspective. So if we move to cloud gaming, then the spaghetti code conversation goes away, right? We no longer play the it's spaghetti code that's keeping us from doing what we want. No, you just throw more resources at it. You're gonna pay a little bit more money for it, but you're gonna throw more resources at it. We did see very positive effect from the cloud gaming stuff, the cloud data center, cloud data center stuff. I don't know who I suspect they're using AWS, but they also could be using Azure. I don't know what their backbones are. That would.
I think they announced what they were using. I don't remember what it was though.
I don't think they did. They just said that they were using like a well-known data. So I think I had speculation it was one of their servers was AWS East and one of them was AWS West based upon people's like.
From what I understand, they were only using an East data center.
Was it only an East data center?
Yeah, for the cloud, because there's already naturally a West data center. So I think they were. I heard mostly things about people who were on the East Coast having like massive positives in like their ping and things.
Yeah,
like
okay.
that.
Cloud was East only.
Yeah.
But I think using a good network of from a data center perspective would be super beneficial. The rub now is like everybody's like, we're tired of hearing you say it's spaghetti code.
I think one of the the biggest additions and changes that is going to come out of the cloud data centers is the possibility of people playing from other places and more people just joining playing the game because they weren't able to before, but now all of a sudden there's a cloud data center in Brazil. And then now we have,
and then like also being able to just make one massive duty finder.
Yeah. I feel like
amazing.
Yeah, I feel like the creating pooling more people together so that we have
that's the cross-region travel I'm talking about. Instead of doing cross-region travel that way, I think they would just do one massive pool Like it would solve a lot of the issues with Party Finder, right? Where like Dynamis is dead and Crystal and Primal are having
everybody
issues
Aether.
with Party Finder and
EU GP. We on the. I'm sure there were.
I'm sure there were just testing out to see what that was like for sure.
Oh yeah, well I mean like that's what like most of the cloud server test was. Oh, there are people from NA on EU and JP. Okay, now the sentence clicked. Yeah.
I'm sure people were testing out to see what that felt like from their side.
Yeah, because I mean, a lot of people who live in like Oceania and stuff like that will be on JP servers and NA servers. I've met a ton of them who just don't go on the Oceania data centers as well. So I'm pretty sure they probably jumped in on that as well.
Yeah. Tonberry is the where a lot of NA play.
Oh yeah, because there's a whole data center on JP that's like English speaking, right?
Yeah, and
it has its own problems from what I've heard. But
anyways.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we'll have our next episode. I think we're gonna talk about next week's episode. We'll expand on a little bit more, but we're gonna talk about kind of the pluses and minuses and things that they've learned that Business Unit 3 has learned over the years in the games that they've done through Final Fantasy 14 and Final Fantasy 16. A really great episode tonight. We are in conversations about shifting it from being a solely Final Fantasy 14 discussion to kind of opening up to more video games as we get towards the more droughted areas. So you might see some of the wording and stuff change in the overlay and whatnot, but it will still be called Beards of Light. We will still keep the name. Really happy with the name and everything else like that, but we're just trying to keep our options open to keep our episodes flowing. But yeah, have a great rest of your week, guys, and we'll see you guys next week. Bard, if you want to see you, when are they going to see you this week?
Yeah, I'll be streaming every day except for Friday, Saturday. Yeah.
And then this week for me, we do raid tomorrow, and then my wildcard Wednesday on Wednesday, and then Thursday starts the 24-hour stream for my birthday, which is Friday. So if you guys want to hang out on a 24-hour stream, we're going to be kind of doing a variety of different games. We're starting with Final Fantasy 14 P12S Savage rating, and I think we're moving into Hollow Knight directly after that. But I got a few other games in the list. I want to wrap up Death's Door, and I got Cult of the Lambs, and I got Sea of Stars, and I got Talos Principle 2. So lots of fun stuff to play over the 24-hour period, and it'd be super chill to hang out with all of you guys. So you are welcome to come and hang out with me on my birthday 24-hour stream. The goals and stuff that we've talked about in previous streams are still up. As you see, Harley gifted a sub, so we got a ornament dangly for the gifted sub. We'll still be doing that through the rest of the streams through the month of December. And then this is an early announcement for January. There is a small group of us that are going to be doing a Trevor Project donation setup. We're calling ourselves the Safe Spacers. It is myself, Gibbles, Conjured Cow, Stitcherwitz, Little Oak, Sergeant Snuggles, and I feel like I'm missing somebody.
Did you say Chaos?
And Chaos, that's right, Blinded Chaos. And for the entire month of January, we are going to be taking donations that are going to go directly to the Trevor Project, helping youths with mental health, with the mental health services they absolutely need. Great foundation to push funds to, and we're going to do that at the beginning of the year. So stay tuned for more information on that. Other than that, guys, have a great night. Thank you guys for coming in tonight. We, as accustomed to our last two episodes, we do not raid because we are streaming on both of our Twitch pages. So we do not raid on podcast days. Instead, we're just going to end tonight's content. Thank you guys for coming out tonight, and we will hopefully see you guys next week.
See you guys around.
Have a great one.